their weekend here against a top 15 opponent. As the LSU Tigers come in red hot, coming off that win yesterday, and they remain undefeated on the season as Sydney Berzon delivers ball one, her second pitch outside as well. And I think it's going to be actually Kelly Lynch who gets the start, the graduate transfer coming over from Washington. And she got her start in a purple and gold uniform last weekend for the Tigers.
Some of the benefits of having the two-way players, the pitchers that can pitch and hit, is being able to move them in and out of that lineup, and that's exactly what LSU is going to do here today, giving Kelly Lynch the start, transferring over from Washington. Coach Beth Torino was really excited about the work that they were able to do with her in the fall.
And the first runner aboard, and Kelsey Nader to lead it off for the Wildcats. Well, that's the type of energy that the Wildcats want to bring against Kelly Lynch, because when you look at what she throws in the circle, what are the Wildcats going to see?
She's going to throw it right around the mid-60s, so some pretty good velocity, but she's got that great rise ball. It's got great late movement on it. But you'll see that she's added a few more pitches that are down in the zone, that drop ball, that curve ball, that changeup that she's going to use to just completely change the eye level for these batters. But the key for Kelly Lynch early in this ball game is to command the strike zone. You do not want to give up any free passes to this Northwestern offense.
Well, Kansas Robinson, who stands at the plate, the sophomore out of Indianapolis, who's already gotten off to a fantastic start to the season. Registered 8 hits already on the early part of the year, and 13 ABs as she swings through that one. Now down to the count 1-2. Taking a look at the starting lineup, we already told you about Angela Zedak, but also Hannah Cady in that 4 spot, how terrific she has been to open the 2024 campaign. Northwestern coming in, had an absence from this invitational last year, was last in Clearwater back in 2022, and since we last saw them here, 2-time defending Big Ten champions. Swing and a miss and struck out, and Kelly Lynch registers the K. And the second batter she's faced, and again, she's just so tough.
Living at the top of the zone, too. Look at the tight rotation on this pitch. It almost looked like she took a bit off of it. You can see Kansas Robinson swinging well underneath that rise ball, moving up in the zone.
Kelly Lynch, who's a two-way player for this group, will face off against Angela Zedak, who's 6'4" this season with runners on base, and she has produced all throughout her career. And the 0-1 count to the Chicago native takes that ball high.
It's in a power strip, from my understanding.
Zedak, a player who has just seen a steady increase in production year after year.
Nice job by Macy Bergeron back behind the plate for LSU to keep that ball in front. Kelsey Nader over there at first base with some speed. But you're right, Angela Zedak is one of those players that has continued to improve year after year for Northwestern. One of the big stats that stands out to me when I look at her too is just her power numbers and her power production that has continued to get better. 2020, only 2 shortened season, 2 home runs in that season. 2021, 4 home runs. Then 2022, 9 home runs. Last year, 12 home runs, just getting better and better every single season.
The 3-1 count. She had the green light, swings through it, and it's a full count now.
Looked like she was going for home run number 3 on the season with that swing at the rise.
The payoff. And tie, second walk of the inning for Kelly Lynch, and now 2 runners aboard, just 1 out.
So far, both of the batters that have gotten on base have been very disciplined with that rise ball at the top part of the zone. And talking to Coach Beth Torino, she said, of course, that's Kelly Lynch's bread and butter, but they wanted to work on some other pitches. You saw her try to throw that 3-2 changeup in there, just hung on to it a bit too long.
And Katie, the third baseman, first pitch swinging there for strike one. The two-time All Big Ten selection. Another player who has blossomed as some of the veterans we talked about returning for this group after graduating, some program changers. And it's players like Hannah Katie and Angela Zedek, among others, who it's their turn to step up and lead this Cats crew. Row 2 swung on and fouled away. The opening day loss to Boise State may have shocked the Wildcats. A tough one against the Broncos. It came back and won 4 straight. And a player who has led this team this season in these types of situations is Katie.
She's got a really good, smooth lefty swing. She primarily does extremely well on the outer half of the plate, but so far this year, 5 for 7 with runners in scoring position. That is a whopping 7.14 average with runners in scoring position.
That one coming inside for ball 1. Well, Kelly Lynch, who last weekend debuted in a Tiger uniform at the LSU Invitational through 7 full innings in the circle, held opponents to under 1 at the plate. Different type of competition this time around, and that one's pulled, but it looks like it's fair! It's out of here! You said she was swinging for number 3, and there it is!
A mature and veteran at bat by Hannah Katie. She watched the changeup go by for a ball, so she knew she was probably going to see something up in the zone. We've talked about it. Up in the zone is Kelly Lynch's bread and butter, and she goes straight after this rise ball, gets her barrel on the bottom half of that ball, and drives it right down that right field line. Like where she was standing in the box, too, a little bit further up in the box to try to take away some of that late break on the rise ball that Lynch has. Another timely piece of hitting for Hannah Katie to go ahead and up that batting average with runners in scoring position this season.
Number 3, meaning number 3, the number of runs put up on the board off the swing of Hannah Katie, her first home run of the season. And the Wildcats jump on the board first. And Ray takes that one inside. We talked about just kind of the mixture of players that you referenced in the open, some of the experience, but also some of the newcomers and faces, and Emma Ray is one of them. A lot of promise with this freshman class for Northwestern, and coming to this invitational allows for them to get early season experience against top opponents and elite talent.
And it's a great time to see where your team's at, right? We have to keep reminding ourselves that it's just the middle of February, although these games really do have a postseason feel. But these coaches are learning along with the players. Talking to a lot of them before this tournament, they said they're just trying to figure out where's going to be the best places to maybe bring in a relief pitcher, maybe bring in a pinch hitter. Those are the types of things that they're figuring out. And even if you have a similar looking roster to the year before, the team could be completely different in the style that they play.
Swung on and struck out. So second strikeout of the inning for Kelly Lynch. You talked about all those pieces that return for LSU. Beth Torina, in her 13th season as the head coach of the Tigers, feels like Lynch can be a huge difference maker for a deep pitching staff in the circle. Ayana Lindsay is now at the plate for Northwestern, but going back to Lynch, how this inning started. Led off with a walk from Kelsey Nader. Another free pass to Angela Zedek set up that opportunity for Hannah Katie to blast her first shot out the park to get to this 3-0 lead for Northwestern, as Beth Torina interested to see how Kelly Lynch and this squad respond after giving up that long ball. The 13th season, she's done an amazing job down in Baton Rouge.
And you and I were talking about it before the game too. Giving up the solo shot isn't going to hurt you in the game, but when you give up a couple of free passes and then you give up the home run, that's what can really hurt you. And that's exactly what happened here in the top of the first inning for Kelly Lynch. So now you're trying to fight and claw your way back before your team's even had a chance to pick up their bats yet. But the job for her now is to try to keep the score as it is so that her offense can get her back into this ball game.
This one popped up in play, and Macy Bergeron ends the inning. at Florida State, and we called that walk-off in extras against Wisconsin and Georgia.
I'm still have a highlight reel of all the home runs that left the ballpark just in that Stanford Georgia Tech game alone. 10 home runs coming in that game.
Isabel Cunha, the leadoff batter, was hit by the pitch, so back-to-back innings now with the leadoff runner aboard for the Wildcats. Well, Lynch threw 34 pitches in that first inning, 16 of them for strikes, but we saw the Wildcats batters go deep into counts for 3-ball counts as they're going to try to maintain that type of approach. And Riley Grizzolonic, a true freshman, coming in with lots of potential, pops this one up behind the dish.
And I think Northwestern's offense through that first inning too showed some really great patience. And when you're coming in against a rise ball pitcher, knowing that that's what Kelly Lynch likes to go to, there's really two schools of thought. You either go up there and you try to attack something in the top part of the zone, or you go ahead and let it go by. And I think there's been a balance between those approaches and just their offense alone. Some people's swings are more suited to hit pitches up in the zone. Some people's swings are more suited to hit pitches down in the zone. So that's when it comes into making a game plan. Talking to Coach Kate Drohan before this week, so important for them to know their swings when they make those plans.
This one bounces in for ball 2. And Riley Grizzolonic swings and fouls that one back.
Grizzolonic, another one of those two-way players too for Northwestern. See her in the batting order, but she's also one of the hardest throwers that Northwestern has on their pitching staff.
And bounces for ball 3, so another full count here. Is Kelly Lynch just trying to settle in. And pulls this one deep, got a hold of it, and it's gone! Riley Grizzolonic sends it flying. It's 5-0 Northwestern.
Both home runs that we've seen from Northwestern have come immediately after taking a ball when deep into the count. This is another rise ball, this one on the other side of the plate to the right-handed batter. So Kelly Lynch is trying to ride this one in on the hands of Grizzolonic, and she does a really nice job of getting her hands extended, getting that barrel out in front of her to send another one out of the yard, and the Wildcats capitalizing again on another free pass.
3 for 5 with runners on, and now 2 home runs for Northwestern. For a great start to the day for the group out of Evanston. And one of the things that Kate Drohan talked about was, hey, there's going to be a lot thrown at you this weekend. Be prepared. Keep it simple. And be patient at the plate, as we've seen it pay off thus far. The 9-hole hitter and Bridget Donahue swung on. Slow roller over to short in the first out of the inning.
It was really great talking to Coach Drohan too, just about how she prepares her team coming into a weekend like this, where you're facing top competition back to back to back, and specifically looking at the hitters. How do you go?
So Kelsey Nader, who let this game off with the walk, is back at the plate second time around. You know, one of the things that we have mentioned in regards to Northwestern, 2-time Big Ten champions, won a vie for it once again. But every year you come in, there's a new look, there's a new feel to this team. And Kate Drohan knows that this team once more has lots of potential to do great things. You think about graduating the All-American Danielle Williams and names like Skylar Shellmeyer and Jordan Rudd, who have moved their way through this program and helped to have the success that they've had. And it came within one game to making back-to-back Women's College World Series appearances, as Nader this time not as fortunate as her first time up and strikes out.
And we'll see just how quickly Northwestern can change their offensive game plan too, with a new pitcher coming into the ball game. Berzon busting out that changeup early in the first batter that she faced and got Nader to swing well out in front.
Kansas Robinson sees a strike, but that's one thing that when you think of LSU, you think of the depth that they have in the bullpen.
A lot of different looks that they could throw out at any given time, and that's something that makes this team really special moving forward through the rest of the season. Especially when you have somebody like Berzon coming into the game and just pumping strikes, right? That's exactly what you needed to try to keep your team in this ball game. Give your offense a chance to score runs, come out and pound the strike zone. Challenge Northwestern to do something early in the count.
Ball and 2 strikes to Robinson, who struck out her last time up. Commits and strikeout, back-to-back Ks for Sydney Berzon.
You're not leaving anything too far up in the zone. It's early in the game. It's only been 1 inning, but so far Ashley Miller's done a really nice job of that. And for LSU, it's to play solid defense. When I watched them play in the opening weekend last weekend, a lot of uncharacteristic miscues by their infield. That's something that you got to clean up.
That one drops from Katie, and the leadoff runner, Raylene Gutierrez, is aboard with the hit.
And we were just talking about that for LSU, but same goes for Northwestern. Got to play clean D behind these pitchers. If you have an opportunity to get a big out, especially somebody like a Raylene Gutierrez, you have to take advantage of that.
Right behind her, Allie Newland, and the senior lefty. Swings at the first pitch. First team All-SEC selection a season ago.
Allie Newland's another one of the players in this offense that I feel like we don't talk about enough just because of how steady she is. Led the team in SEC play last year, batting well over 400.
And Ashley Miller, you talked about off to a good start thus far. Let's see what she delivers here. Ahead in the count. And Newland strikes out. So first strikeout of the day registered for Ashley Miller.
Early in the game again, but you're going to see a really good mix of different pitches from Ashley Miller. She's going to throw that drop ball to both sides of the plate. You just saw one thrown to strike out Allie Newland. It's a very unique changeup. It almost rises up into the zone. Typically changeups drop down. So you see right there, 43 miles an hour, and it just kind of floats up towards the eyes of the hitters. I've really enjoyed watching it on film. Super excited to be able to see it now in person. Glad I'm not in the box trying to hit it. But it's very unique, and she's gotten quite a few outs already on it.
Mackenzie Rudity is now at the plate. And I think one of the questions that everyone had coming in for Northwestern was, okay, well, who's going to be the next ace? That place was occupied for the last 5 seasons by the All-American Danielle Williams, and is Ashley Miller going to fill that role now?
Well, they graduated last year, over 50% of the innings pitched between Danielle Williams, as you mentioned, and Sydney Supley, who had quite a few innings for them as well. So it's who's going to be able to step up in that role, and so far Ashley Miller has done a great job for this Northwestern squad.
Coming over from Michigan State, graduating in 3.5 years, and remaining in the Big Ten. The 3-1. When you talk, well, there's one piece to it in the pitching side of it, but also who's behind the plate. Emma Ray is receiving it, the first-year player as part of that new battery for Kate Drohan. The payoff, and Rudy hits it over to shortstop, and the double play is not turned as Rudy is able to beat it out in time.
Sometimes the benefit of being a lefty batter is you just get that one extra step towards the first baseline to help you beat out throws like this. A really good job by Bridget Donahue to take this one herself, step on second base, and fire across to first. A very close play. I think that's the right call. I do think that Rudy beat it out, but just barely.
Gets the lead runner out. 2 down for Kelly Lynch. And you saw start out in the circle, now at the plate. You mentioned great two-way player. Four hits on the season. And bounces it over to third base and couldn't handle the hop. It was bobbled by Kelsey Nader over at first base. And Kelly Lynch is safe. You talked about defense and the importance of being sharp in that area.
Especially when you have some pitchers that like to work down in the zone or have a lot of off-speed pitches. The infield especially becomes particularly important. Hannah Katie gets this ball, actually throws it down into the dirt, and like you said, Kelsey Nader trying to pick it, and as she was flipping her glove up to get it out of the dirt, that's when it popped out of her glove. So already some defensive miscues for Northwestern.
So Lynch reached on the air. She's at first. Rudy grounded into the fielder's choice, standing at second. And the catcher, Macy Bergeron, sees that one high for ball 2.
Looks like Kelsey Nader, actually first baseman for Northwestern, coming over, calling time to bring the battery together. Having a conversation with the infield too, maybe to just slow things down. We've talked a lot about how the pitch clock can affect the pitchers and the batters, and maybe sometimes in those moments where you feel the game speeding up a bit, really smart by Nader to go ahead and call time and regroup, slow everything back down after Ashley Miller had thrown those 2 balls in a row.
You mentioned the leadership of Nader, one of the vocal leaders on this team for Northwestern, as Bergeron sends that one, tattoos it, see ya later, Gator. And how about that, answering right back. And that's how you get into the ball game. A 3-run homer for Macy Bergeron.
It's the little things that lead to big moments when you're playing top competition early on. Macy Bergeron knew that because Ashley Miller had thrown 2 balls in a row, she's going to try to get back into the count. She's going to try to throw a strike. And I love the aggressive mentality from Bergeron, going after that pitch, clobbering it over the wall. And just like that, Northwestern's lead cut to just 2.
Bergeron now 2 for 2 with runners in scoring position and 4 RBI. That was a big swing and important to chip away at that deficit. Now just trailing by 2 runs, and she's crowned in the dugout after being queen of that swing. And off the bat of Carly Petty, lined out to third base from Macy Bergeron to cut into Northwestern's lead. Zedak, Katie, and Ray do up. 3, 4, 5 in the Wildcats lineup. Now, we saw a pitching change last inning with Sydney Berzon for LSU, 3rd-team All-American a season ago, first for a Tiger freshman since 2015, and she really helped to settle things down just a little bit. You felt there was just a little shift in the circle.
She got ahead in the count, and we're seeing that here to start off the top of the third inning. She gets ahead of Angela Zidak 0-2. So now as a batter, you find yourself in this hole, and you're almost in a bit more of competitive or protect mode because you can't necessarily just sit one pitch because you've got 2 strikes.
Speaking of strikes, she strikes out Angela Zidak. 11 pitches, 9 of them have been for strikes, and she sits down Zidak.
3 strikeouts in a row since Berzon has entered this ball game. All 3 of them have been on the changeup. She's getting ahead in the count. She's getting these batters thinking that she's going to throw something with velocity. Then she pulls the string on that off-speed pitch.
And a strike in there to Hannah Katie. One of the things Beth Torina said she really liked about Sydney Berzon was the fact that she's got all the tools. She's got that ability to mix the speeds, as you mentioned, a variety of pitches as well.
And the command was something that Coach Beth Torina said that they wanted to work on in the offseason after having such a phenomenal freshman year to try to build upon what she had done last season. They wanted to continue to improve that command with all of her pitches, and we're seeing that early.
Once more to Hannah Katie, who hit that 3-run homer to get them on the board, but this is a good matchup here. 1-2 count to the third baseman. And puts it in play, Taylor Pleasance. A routine grounder, and retires Katie.
And she's throwing that changeup pretty often out there in the circle. You wonder if maybe one of these Northwestern batters might come up to the plate looking for that pitch because she's throwing it so consistently for strikes.
See the out distribution for Berzon. 3 strikeouts, 1 ground out, and now Emma Ray is the 5th batter she'll face. And when you look at the pitch clock, as you mentioned, something new at the tournament, Berzon is working a little bit quicker pace too.
And it's been an adjustment for, like we talked about, the pitchers and the batters, making sure that you're, as a batter, you're getting in there by the time that 10 seconds has gone off the clock. I never like to leave the batter's box.
No?
So, no, I never like to leave it. I just like to stay in there because I wanted the pitchers to feel like I was waiting on them, not the other way around. Mind games, right, Tiffany?
There are so many games within a game.
Now, I guarantee no pitchers ever noticed that, but in my head, I felt like I was doing something.
Ray staying alive and fouling it off. Ray struck out her first time up. We'll have the opportunity to talk to our head coach, Kate Drohan, next inning, but we got to keep it going here because Emma Ray is aboard with a 2-out strike base hit.
Good adjustment with her barrel too. Berzon decided to go with something up and outside in the zone. And Emma Ray just stuck her barrel out there, got enough of it to drive it back up the middle, continue this inning for the Wildcats.
First pitch swinging, Ayanna Lindsay, backhand by Taylor Pleasance, and a spectacular defensive play from the shortstop, Taylor Pleasance.
Taylor Pleasance just showing off over at shortstop, goes for this backhand deep into the 5-6 hole, has to throw it off balance, and what a catch by Carly Petty over at
the 23 Big Ten Coach of the Year, Kate Drohan, joining us now, and your Northwestern crew wanting to get out to a quick start and off the bats of a couple of your players, sending them out the park, Hannah Katie and Riley Grizzolonic. What have you thought about your offense thus far?
Well, I liked our aggressiveness. I thought we battled through some at-bats and some good 2-strike hitting here, but we've got to keep the pressure on.
And Coach, we talked about that great changeup that Ashley Miller has, that unique changeup. It moves in several different directions. What have you liked from her performance so far in this ball game?
I think that pitch has gotten a little bit better as we've gone on here, but we need to have her keep attacking the strike zone here.
All right, thanks so much, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Go Cats.
Well, Ashley Miller, who is building steam, building momentum in the circle. And, you know, it's so interesting because, you know, coming here from the Midwest, and when you think about a lot of their fall ball, is that one is lined quickly off the bat of Danica Coffey into the glove of Robinson and one away. Also a change of weather for this Northwestern crew. They didn't get a chance to play a lot.
I'm sure a welcome change of weather. One of the biggest differences from a team like Northwestern who practices inside is just the field surface is going to be so much different. That's something they had to adjust to, although Kansas Robinson, since that ball didn't even hit the dirt, didn't have to adjust to that at all.
They're playing the dirt, and the errant throw from Miller in the circle allows Sierra Briggs to go all the way to third base. The ball just kept rolling. And Sierra Briggs took full advantage of the errant throw.
Nice bunt right out in front of the plate, so Ashley Miller had to be the one to field it, picks it up barehanded, that's what you're supposed to do, and just throws it straight down that right field line. Sierra Briggs is somebody with a ton of speed, but she actually stops at second base thinking that she's only going to get 2 out of this, but because it kind of bounced around down there by that tarp, she was able to get all the way to third base.
And off of Ray, can't find it, and a couple of miscues, and just like that, another run scored, LSU within 1.
Talking to Coach Drohan before this weekend, she did say for these defenses to try to make as many plays, especially the routine plays, as possible. And pitchers for themselves, too, you've got to help yourself out. She got to that bunt in plenty of time, just got the throw way down the line, but it's so important for these defenses to be able to have their pitchers' backs when you get into situations like this where you're facing a top 15 opponent like LSU.
Pleasance, who made that spectacular play at third base in the top half of the inning.
And of course, you love to see the exceptional plays, but a lot of it comes down to the routine plays, just a simple game of catch and throw.
Well, we saw Michelle Gascoigne, the pitching coach for Northwestern, have a quick conversation with Ashley Miller, obviously a fantastic pitcher, won a national championship at Oklahoma. Now her 8th season has really worked so well with this Northwestern pitching staff for them to have success each season. And she's been a key component. You know, it's obviously Kate Drohan, her twin sister, Carol's on staff, Michelle Gascoigne, and the addition of her husband, Tony Smith. So, like, it's an all-in-the-family type of situation. And boy, I tell you, I think Bryce Neal is like, I feel that one. I feel that one.
Wasn't it just yesterday we were talking about how the coaches down the line have to be heads up because those foul balls come off the bats really hard, and that one, ground ball, got him maybe in the side of the leg. I think he's okay. He smiled that one off.
Dribble that one across and a walk for Taylor Pleasance.
Now, going back to that conversation with Michelle Gascoigne and what she's done with this pitching staff, one of the first questions that we talked to Coach Drohan about was, what are you going to do with the pitching staff now that you don't have somebody like a Danielle Williams out there to throw majority of the innings? And she said that it's always been a point of emphasis for Michelle to teach these players how important it is to be a pitching staff and not just rely on one arm, and that was something that she learned from her own collegiate experience playing at Oklahoma and knew just how important it was for her to get those valuable innings against high leverage competition, pitching next to somebody like a Kaylani Ricketts.
Gutierrez, the team's leading hitter, flies out to left field, and I don't want to bring up a sore spot, but partner, you faced off against that Oklahoma Sooners team back in 2013, and well, you saw just
firsthand
what Michelle Gascoigne could do.
Firsthand, and when you think back to that team, just so many great players on that 2013 Oklahoma Sooners team, and Kaylani, of course, a great one as well.
Grounder over to first base, and that ends the inning. Pleasance left aboard, and nothing but one more run put on the board for LSU. They're down 5-4.
3 teams, 3 games. It's going to be really exciting to watch them compete.
I mean, February giving you late May, early June matchups. How do you mentally prepare for something like that as a player? Like, I mean, these back-to-back games against
I will say, I feel like these preseason tournaments have changed quite a bit even since when I played. When I think back to even my career, there were maybe just a couple of games that I could circle at the beginning of the year that I was like, all right, this is going to be our top 10 matchup. But now it seems like left and right, these coaches have made it a point to stack their schedules early to challenge their team and to also see where some areas that they really need to improve upon before they head into conference play. And a lot of these are rematches from the postseason last year. Think about Texas and Tennessee. That's a rematch of last year's Super Regional in Knoxville. So a lot of exciting things happening just in this invitational alone.
A 2-1 count to Isabel Cunilla, who is a newcomer to this group, swings through that one. And among the questions that Kate Drohan had of her squad was how would the fresh faces handle moments like this and against competition like this.
And you just don't know until you throw them out there. That's why you come to tournaments like this.
Swung on, miss, and a strikeout for Cunilla. She's thrown out at first.
Berzon's been fantastic since she's entered this ball game. Great command, getting ahead early in the count, and when she's ahead 1-2, 0-2, that allows her to throw pitches out of the zone. We just saw swing and miss at a pitch down in the dirt. You're not going to get those swings and misses if you're behind 2-1, 3-1, but because she's getting ahead, that's where she's able to get the strikeouts.
Riley Grizzolanek at the plate. The freshman had that 2-run homer back in the second inning. And let's go back to that magic that she had back in the second inning.
No surprise, Berzon trying to keep the ball low because this is what Grizzolanek did when the ball went up in the zone, up and inside, just turns on it. Again, Northwestern capitalizing on a couple of free passes that they were given early in this ball game. And she goes after another pitch up in the zone, so she seems to like those rise balls up just underneath the letters. Good up ball swing.
Well, she had success against Kelly Lynch in the circle. Now her first time facing Berzon, who was inserted into the game just a couple of batters later. And since she's come in, only given up a hit, struck out 4 in the 7 batters that Sydney Berzon has faced, and make it number 5 in the K category.
With Berzon in the circle, I find that I'm repeating myself, right? Here she is, good formula, getting ahead in the count, getting ahead early, and then able to throw pitches down at the knees or even lower than that. This one down in the dirt. Another shout out to Macy Bergeron, who is just working back behind the plate to pick those balls out of the dirt. Berzon looking so good.
9-hole hitter and Bridget Donahue. We have seen some fantastic play behind the plate. We have pointed out Ali Kaneshiro, who we'll see a little bit later against Tennessee for Stanford. Reese Hunter, the catcher for Georgia Tech.
Along with the offense, that seems to be the theme of days 1 and 2 so far, is the catchers doing some real work back behind the plate.
Once more ahead in the count. Registered 127 Ks last season. 40 of them look, and that one bounces in the dirt. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Donahue. Swing and a miss. Another one strikes out the side to end the top of the 4th.
Sydney Berzon feeling it out there in the circle. 3 up, 3 down, 3 Ks in a row. That's how you get your team back into this ball game. LSU coming up to bat.
LSU is within a run of Northwestern. Their head coach for the Tigers, and Beth Torina. And Coach, ever since you inserted Sydney Berzon in relief, she has shown how special she is. You talked about before how incredible of a talent she is. What have you loved about what she's done thus far?
She's just so fun to coach. She's so talented. It feels like a video game. You know, you're just pressing the buttons over there, and it's coming out all different speeds and directions. She's a lot of fun.
And Coach, after falling behind early in this ball game, your offense just continues to chip away at this score. What more are you wanting to see from them as this game goes on?
I think they're in a great spot. You know, obviously nobody wants to go down like that, and, you know, tough outing for Kelly Lynch. We're still huge believers in Kelly Lynch over here on this team, but, you know, want to see your offense just keep battling. I think they're doing a good job of forcing her in the zone. You know, I like where they're at.
Thanks so much, Coach. We appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Well, this LSU team put up 12 runs yesterday in their win over Georgia Tech, and the way that they have slated their schedule this time around, a game yesterday, a game today, they've got a couple tomorrow as they're building up to Oklahoma State and a Washington, a couple of teams that are ranked as Rudity gets aboard after being hit by the pitch to lead off the bottom half of the fourth.
I almost feel like at times through the past 2 innings with Ashley Miller out there in the circle, maybe trying a bit too hard to bring those pitches into the strike zone. This is where, as a pitcher, you've got to just go back and rely on your spin and trust in your movement and trust in your defense behind you. I know that Northwestern has made some miscues, but you got to just keep pounding the strike zone and let them work behind you.
Ashley Miller trying to battle away here for Northwestern and hang tight to this lead. The pitch to Kelly Lynch, and Lynch, this one shallow and just trying to gauge it. Lindsay in center field couldn't get to it in time, so first 2 batters aboard for the Tigers.
A little bit of tough luck there for Ashley Miller. She gets this one in on the hands of Kelly Lynch, who doesn't get all of it, but gets enough to drive it out to the grass. Good effort by Anna Lindsay in center field, trying to get that ball before it hit the grass. Luckily, kept it in front of her as her glove was coming through. And now 2 runners on board for LSU with nobody away.
Natalie Giglio over at first base, coming in as the pinch runner for Lynch. And guess who's back up to the plate? And Macy Bergeron. Boy, she did damage the last time she was up. Got LSU on the board with 1 swing, her first home run of the season. And the catcher finds herself with 2 runners aboard again. Well, she's been perfect in these situations this season. 2 for 2 risk. Good pitch there from Ashley Miller, but let's flash back to the 2nd inning.
Great swing back in the 2nd inning by Macy Bergeron. She found herself in a high leverage count, 2-0 count. She knew Miller was going to bring something into the strike zone, and she just clobbers it. Seemed to help ignite this LSU offense.
It's like Bergeron felt all of that one. She looks down to the wrist guard. And a favorable count here against Miller. 2 balls, no strikes. The pitch from Miller is low in the dirt, ball 3. Well, Beth Torena just spoke with us, felt like her offense was in really good position. First 2 batters on. Bergeron thought that was ball 4. It is, and she trots down to first. Bases loaded for the Tigers.
Got Carly Petty coming up here with the bases loaded. As you mentioned, she got the scoring party started yesterday against Georgia Tech for LSU. Another really strong hitter down at the bottom of the order for the Tigers. In a high-pressure situation for Ashley Miller. You want to bring the ball into the strike zone because you've got no outs, because you've got the bases loaded, but also you got to be very careful with a batter like Petty, who does have some pop in her bat. She's been off to a phenomenal start this season.
LSU with the bases loaded, hitting .500 as a team. Petty was looking to drive in some runs here. The snap throw back to third. And the runner, Rudity, is safe.
MRA, just a freshman, but she is very aggressive back behind the plate. She looks for those opportunities to catch some base runners sleeping.
Petty saw that change of speed. You see the little clutch there and in for a strike.
It's an interesting pitch. It moves, it almost has a mind of its own when she lets go of it. It doesn't move in a traditional change-up manner.
That one zipped past the first baseman, and Carly Petty is gonna bring two home off the RBI double, and LSU grabs the lead.
Big smile on Carly Petty's face. Danger just top to bottom in this LSU lineup. Turns on this pitch, looks like a drop ball that just gets past the glove of Kelsey Nader over at first base, but just a frozen rope out to that right field wall. Gonna easily score 2 runs, and look at how fired up she is as she gets safely into second base, looking straight at her dugout with a big smile.
Petty, who produced 35 RBI last season in her first year in Baton Rouge, brought in some experience and a couple of Women's College World Series appearances with her former team, Oklahoma State. And back to the top of the order for this LSU Tiger team, and Danica Coffey.
In a big moment against UCLA.
Busy weekend for Florida State, coming off their win in that shutout victory yesterday over Stanford. UCLA today, and of course they're building their way up. We will see Florida State in prime time Sunday night as they face off against Tennessee. A fantastic crew. Beth Mowens, Michelle Smith, and Jessica Mendoza will have that rematch of the Women's College World Series semifinal. And so many people got talking about the Bruins after last weekend. Kelly I's crew suffering 3 losses, but can get back on track here in Clearwater.
There's still a lot of talent in that UCLA lineup. Of course, you're trying to find your footing. Yeah, Maya Brady, Megan Grant, a lot of pop in their lineup. It's just trying to figure out who's going to step up in the circle for them after the graduation of Megan Faremo and Brooke Yanez. It's not easy to replace 2 arms like that, but UCLA is going to get it figured out, I have no doubt.
That game currently over on ESPNU. Back here on the SEC network, it's the Tigers gonna add more to their point total, or run total rather. The RBI sac fly from Danica Coffey, and it's 7-5 LSU.
The center fielder, Sierra Briggs.
Sierra Briggs coming up now as the true freshman will face off against a number of lefties, 7 of the 9 in the lineup for LSU, coming from that left side. And lays down a beautiful bunt. Briggs is safe. She nearly went off to second base trying to catch that Wildcat defense napping.
The speed throughout LSU's lineup just creating chaos out on the infield. A really nice bunt laid down by Sierra Briggs, forcing Riley Gridzilonic to come out of the circle to try to make a play on it. Goes to the backhand, not able to get it. And initially there was nobody covering second base. You could see the hustle by first baseman Kelsey Nader, noticing that there was nobody at second base, hustling over to second base to try to prevent Sierra Briggs from advancing. But at that speed, wouldn't be surprised if she takes off here.
Well, the run production from LSU thus far has been impressive. coming into today, put up 59 runs in total. And now they have scored 7+ runs, 7 or more runs in 6 of their 7 games this season.
I feel like we always talk about the pitching with LSU, but the offense is showing out early.
Well, just carrying over with this theme that we have seen from the different fields here in this tournament. The 1-2 to Taylor Pleasant. Back to the pitcher, and Grizzolonic gets over to first in time. 2 away. So that was a big out, but then you think about the cleanup hitter and Raylene Gutierrez, who is the team's hits leader this season. Again, you talked about the scorching start that she's been off to.
Yeah, her bat has looked phenomenal, and she's another one of those players where really in the past we've kind of thought of her more of a defensive specialist, especially with the way that she's able to play first base, but her bat has been on fire this season. Great pitch selection, great extension, being able to cover the entire strike zone has led to, of course, that .450 batting average to start off the year, but the 7 RBI, that's another number that stands out.
A pitch in there for a strike to Gutierrez. Think about just 18 runs batted in, and already this fast start for her. And hey, this was the big hit that you referenced earlier.
One of the 3 home runs that she's hit already on this season. Look at the opposite field power. Gets her hands inside, uses again that back leg to drive the ball out to left field. Not an easy pitch to hit out of the park, but she makes it look easy.
Good pitch there, just a little bit high from Grizzolonic. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes to the first baseman.
Northwestern faithful over here wanted that one called for a strike. A great location, though, in a 1-2 count, keeping that on the outside part of the plate.
That one sails high, and now it's a full count.
Good work by Ray again, back behind the dish. Grizzolonic trying to sneak a changeup in there, held onto it a bit too long.
The freshman connection for Northwestern couldn't frame that enough, just outside, and bases loaded again as Gutierrez walks. And so after being shut out in the opening inning, it's been 7 unanswered runs put up by LSU. Allie Newland takes one inside for ball 1. One of these teaching, learning moments that Kate Drohan referenced for her youngsters this weekend. As Grizzolonic finds herself in a bit of a pickle, 2 out, bases loaded, and Allie Newland commits on that one. 2 balls and a strike.
Got the call down the line from the third base umpire saying that she did swing. Another high-pressure situation like you were talking about, Tiffany, for Northwestern in this ball game. It seems like every time you turn around, LSU's got runners on the base paths.
And Grizzolonic's got to try to put it in there as you don't want to walk home a run. Working to get out of this inning without giving up any more. The pitch. And taken. And so based on scouting report for Riley Grizzolonic, what do you think she's going to go to here?
I think she's going to go same to that outside part of the plate. stay away from Allie Newland.
Does so, catches Newland looking, big K for Grizzolonic. That ends the inning with a bases loaded jam. The truth say, hey, the video game element comes into play when you see this Tigers pitcher in the circle.
I think there's that element of tunneling too, I guess we could say, when Coach Beth Tureen is talking about that. Out of her hand, the pitches all look very similar, but they start to break in completely different directions. That's why you see those swings and misses way out in front on the changeups. The hitters are anticipating and expecting a different pitch coming out of her hand, and by the time it's too late, that's when they realize that it's that off-speed pitch.
Top of the order, Kelsey Nader being patient, sees ball 3. Remember, walked to start off this ball game, brought home by Katie in her home run. And taken all the way, it's in there for a strike.
Kelsey Nader, one of those players on this Northwestern team that has some experience, but just in a different role. Last year, you saw her more at the bottom part of the order in that 7 spot, now intentionally putting her in that leadoff spot.
And gets the leadoff here in the top of the 5th inning off the glove of Petty, who was diving over at second base. And Nader looking back to the dugout saying, let's go.
Been seeing examples of that vocal leadership from Kelsey Nader throughout this ball game. A pitch on the outside part of the plate, and you can see the way that she extends with that right hand. Let's go with the left hand to get that extra last bit of extension to get it through the infield. Good job to get things started in the top of the 5th.
Kansas Robinson, strikeout victim twice today, looking to get the bats moving again for Northwestern, see if they could string together some success against Burzon, which has been difficult to come by thus far. Sharply hit, but foul. A lot of purple on the field today, partner. Northwestern and the black unis up. And Bergeron, who's been terrific behind the plate, just sees that one go through the legs, and now runner in scoring position with Nader moving to second base.
Another one of those off-speed pitches down in the dirt, and it just gets past Bergeron. Looks like they were going to call a ball on that. Bergeron started her motion and then tried to stop as she was already into the motion. Coach Ben Serena going to come out and have a conversation with our home plate umpire.
She chops it up with Lily Lopez, who's behind the plate.
She goes into the motion, and you can see her just stop and pull off the pitching rubber after she had already started. I wonder if maybe the argument from Beth Serena's side is that she didn't separate her hands to go into the motion, even though her body had started moving, but she hadn't separated her hands.
And so they're going to have further discussion on the field in regards to what was called, as now Kate Drohan, the Northwestern head coach, is getting an explanation as well. The fans certainly wanting to know what's going on as well. I'll say this, you know, as they have this conversation, one of the things that we talked about was the fact that when you come into weekends like this, how challenging it is for pitchers because they're going up against such great competition. Everyone's getting a hot bat early on. And just all different scenarios just kind of play out for you.
So he put it up, yeah, so home plate umpire 2-2. And he was the one that initially called the illegal pitch. You could see him put his arms out, but after having that conversation with his fellow umpiring crew, because she didn't separate her arms,
and the next pitch as Kansas Robinson flies out.
even though her body was moving to go into her pitching motion, but she hadn't separated the ball from the glove, I should say, or separated the arms.
The left fielder, Angela.
Northwestern fans not happy about that one.
Angela Zidak, who has been one of the hot bats for Northwestern. Ball and strike to the Wildcats left fielder. Throw that one and strike two. Well, I tell you, Reed mentioned it earlier with Zidak and how well she's come in and hit this season. Just one thing Coach said, she likes the two-strike hitting for a group with two strikes. Takes the ball.
And specifically with Angela, she said she'll swing and miss on a pitch early in the at-bat, but then she makes the adjustment and then she'll get it with two strikes. So she's constantly thinking about what she's seen already in this at-bat and what she could possibly see in the next pitches.
Puts it into play. Pleasance has to kind of go out. That one is just safe. She beats it out. That took an interesting hop for Pleasance as she tried to gather it. Either way, the two-strike hitting working for Zidak still.
Taylor got caught a little bit in between hops on this one. So off of the bat, you either want to charge it as a shortstop or you want to take a couple of steps back. And at the last minute, she decides to step back. Was able to grab it, throw it across the diamond, but not able to get there in time because of that step back and because it took that funky hop on her.
This one rolling down the first base line. And a run comes in to score. They tried to see if it would go foul. Nader speeds home. Hannah Katie with her fourth RBI of the day.
Really surprised that Sydney Berzon picks up this ball. So much spin off of the bat of Katie. Look at it, how it's going straight down the line. It gets on the foul line, and then she picks it up. At that point, everybody's already going to be safe, so I'm curious why she just didn't continue to see if that spin was going to allow that ball to get into foul territory. But as soon as you pick it up, it's fair game.
Yep. So the Cats coming back here, 2 on, 1 out. Emma Ray, who singled her last time up, is now at the plate. Northwestern making the most of their opportunity with runners in scoring position, and Ray is down the count to Berzon, 1 and 2. The bouncer, high hop over Gutierrez over at first base, coming in, charging, and across home is Angela Zidak to tie the game up.
This pitch was away from Emma Ray. Drop ball outside, and she gets on top of this ball, gets so much topspin that it bounces over Raylene Gutierrez at first base. Look at how high that hop is. Just out of the reach of her glove, and a great jump by Angela Zidak off of second base to be able to score on that ground ball out to right field.
A true freshman coming up with her 3rd RBI of the season, tie ball game, and Beth Torina says it's time to make a change as no, not going with the change. Maybe split her finger open, we're being told, as she's trying to shake it off and was going to go to the dugout instead. She's remaining out there.
Looks like she's looking at something, maybe on her thumb. Coach Torina coming out to take a look too. She seems to be okay. She gave the thumbs up. She said, I'm good. I'm good.
The runners at the corners for Northwestern. And Berzon's gonna pitch on. Ayanna Lindsay. Center fielder sees that one outside for ball 1. Madison Shipman, Tiffany Green here with you. Tie ball game here in the top of the 7th. Or excuse me, 5th inning. As Ayanna Lindsay is retired. Trying to run with that 7th theme there. Just kind of lost my mind a little bit. It's all good. Thanks for your patience. Isabel Cunha. Nice to see the Wildcats keep scoring. Remember, they started off this game hot. Put up 5 runs. Quiet the last 2 innings before the score evens here in the 5th. Saw the true freshman Emma Ray come through and deliver. Can Cunha do the same as Berzon gets her swinging?
Good looking drop ball there too to get her back even in this count. That drop ball and that changeup coming out of her hand look extremely similar.
Good pitch there, just missing. I don't know by how much, but
maybe a bit low, maybe. Great frame back there by Macy Bergeron.
Fouled off.
Coach Strohan said she wanted to see how her freshmen and her newcomers react in big game experiences. How about this for the freshmen?
Big time strikeout, caught looking. Sydney Berzon is the threat from Northwestern, but the Wildcats even it up, and Berzon says no more damage can be done.
Berzon just so much confidence in this off-speed pitch. She didn't even wait to see the umpire's call. She knew it out of the hand. Yep, that's strike 3.
40 games in 4 days, and I'll tell you, Northwestern and LSU locked at 7. These games just keep giving, Madison. Giving us what we want. I mean, because you
high drama in the best way. This is what we want in February, right? To see these postseason type matchups going head to head. A lot of scoring, tie ball games deep into the game.
And LSU, who has just been on fire this season. 18 extra base hits, a few run rules in the process, and we talked about the number of runs that they've put up through 6 games this season, and now they've put up already 7 here today against Northwestern, and more to go potentially.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that you're seeing those types of numbers and the experience that they bring into this season. There's a level of maturity, especially with the way that you approach and handle your game plans and your at-bats. Just the longer that you're in this game, the more at-bats that you have, the better you get at it, and we're seeing the results of that from this LSU offense.
Rudity over to short. The play made in time by Donahue, and 1 down. Bottom of the order here for LSU.
The designated player, Kelly
Good play over at short there. Looked like for a second she was going to sit back and wait for the hop, but at the last minute decided to charge it, throw it on the run. Big smile on her face. All about getting used to the dirt, too. That was something you had mentioned earlier in the game, right, Tiffany? So the ball's going to bounce very differently on the dirt than it does on the turf. A good read there to throw across the diamond. Gritzelanek loves it in the circle.
And you love it as a former shortstop.
I
mean,
you know I love some good defense,
We've been talking
Tiffany.
about defense
I love it.
all day.
I love it. Those are the little things that make a big difference in a ball game like this one. And oftentimes you think about just the at-bat itself and the batter getting on base, maybe with an error in the infield. But what I look at is the additional batter that gets to come up at the end of the game. That's one more at-bat that your pitcher has to deal with at the end of the game in a tie ball game like this. Just trying to limit the amount of at-bats and the amount of looks that these teams have against your pitching.
Kelly Lynch, who started off the game in the circle for LSU. A 2-way player at the plate. Singled her last time up. Takes that one inside for ball 2. Miss. Doesn't count.
Good looking curveball out of the hand of Gritzelanek. Some tight spin, 58 miles per hour going away from the righty and Kelly Lynch. She does like to work that first base side of the plate. We've seen her have to adjust just because there's so many lefties in this LSU offense. We've seen her throw outside to the lefties quite a bit on that third base side of home plate. But now with the righty able to utilize that curveball moving away.
And a 1-out walk to Kelly Lynch. But what we have seen from this LSU team is the fact that they have come back and scored the next half inning twice already in this game. Remember, Northwestern tied it up in the top half with 2 runs. And now the Tigers have a runner aboard for Macy Bergeron. If you're just joining us, she had a 3-run bomb back in the 2nd inning. And Bergeron back up to the plate, been on board twice. Walked her last time up. And Gritzelanek behind the count to her. Michelle Gascoigne comes out to the circle.
Conversations that we're having with our fellow infielders, just trying to put ourselves in the best position to make a play to get our pitchers out of a jam.
Well, after the conference, Bergeron swings, fouls it off right there in foul territory is Nader to get her out.
Great conversation by Gascoigne coming out too. And pitchers are having to adjust to the strike zones that they're getting back behind the plate. Wanted that curveball called on the pitch before, but instead of over-adjusting, just made a minute adjustment with the location, got a swing on it, and right there out number 2.
Carly Petty last time swinging at the plate at that 2-run double down first base line. pitch. And therefore a strike. Some constant contenders on the field. Wonderful day of softball, 13 in total here today from Clearwater. Carly Petty lifts this one into left center field to the fence. And once again, coming up with a big hit to play at the plate.
Looks like they're going to call obstruction at the plate
there, because that's going to be an interesting one. We've got to dissect that one. Kelly Lynch was trying to come in to score, and the slide off that big hit from Petty once more. Another look.
Petty coming through in the clutch yet again, driving this one into that left center gap. That's Ayana Lindsay in center field. Makes a good relay throw to Donahue at shortstop. And look at the way that Emma Ray sets up. Right, that left foot right there before she has possession of the ball. We talked about it yesterday. There's a rule change with obstruction, defining that leading edge of home plate. It's going to be that part of the plate that's the closest to third base. That's the part of the plate that you cannot be in without possession of the ball. And because her left foot had gone into that leading edge without possession, that's where that obstruction is called.
Coffee lines it right into the glove of Donahue. But not before LSU answers again.
Best part about being a two-way player is Grizzlana can help herself out. This is what she did earlier in the ball game, going yard on a rise ball. Can she do it again? We'll find out when she comes up next.
Leading Minnesota currently, UCLA and Florida State in action.
Look how fired up
yeah.
Jordan Woolery is over at second base, tying up the ball game with a double. Savvy Pola and Maya Brady had gotten on base right before her. She was fist pumping out there, fired up to tie up that ball game. They know just how big of a game this is too, to try to get themselves back on track. They're still celebrating.
That dugout is fired up, but generating that energy is necessary. I mean, these are, big crowds. This is top-notch coverage. They're covered all the way around this weekend, the competition that they face. And then you look at Washington, who is off to a great start. Heather Tara's team, one of the 3 out of the Pac-12 that made it to the Women's College World Series last year. And about Ruby Malin and the job that she did yesterday, coming off a terrific freshman campaign, what she got in store for her sophomore season. You just also think to the fact that last season of the Pac-12, as Grizzlonic leads it off and grounds out to third, one away. Such a storied conference, the most in college softball. And when we look this time next year at this invitational, a lot of teams going to be moving places and moving spaces.
I'm going to need an entire map, somebody to draw it out for me, all the changes that we're going to see amongst these conferences.
Well, UCLA will be in the Big Ten with Northwestern, along with USC, Washington, and Oregon.
Texas, Oklahoma moving to the SEC. Even starting this season, UCF moving over to the Big 12.
So much movement and conference realignment that takes place. But in some senses, it kind of matches. I mean, we've seen the movement of conferences with teams. We've gotten used to that a little bit more with the transfer portal, in the sense of you see players moving around from spot to spot as well, trying to find the best and right fit.
It'll be interesting to see how some of these coaches maybe change the way that they plan out the schedule for the season. Typically, your teams are going to be flying across the country, somewhere warmer in the early part of the season, but maybe some of these teams that are moving to conferences where there's more travel involved, maybe they stay home a little bit longer in the preseason.
The 2-2 and zipped by the third baseman, or the third base bag. And a nice one going all the way to the wall. And a base hit here with one out for Bridget Donahue. Hey.
Bridget Donahue turning on this one straight down the line. Danica Coffey goes for the backhand, but it gets right underneath her glove, hit hard off of the bat. Just a quick reaction over at third, not able to get there. And it looked like the ball bounced around quite a bit as it hit the fence in foul territory out in left field. Good throw in, but Donahue over at second base.
Back to the top with Kelsey Nader. The lefty awaits. Shows bunt, goes back. Nice grab by Pleasance at short, but falling away from the bag too deep into the hole. An infield single for Kelsey Nader.
Nicely placed ground ball by Kelsey Nader up the middle. Pleasance having to move several steps to her left just to field that. Able to get it, but not able to get an out. And this Northwestern offense continuing to make adjustments the second time through the order. First time through, just 1 for 9, 6 strikeouts. Now you're starting to see them put the ball in play more consistently. And runs, of course, a product of that.
Kansas Robinson wants to continue to produce. Wants to come up with a big hit here. A couple strikeouts on the day. And hand the count 2-0 to Berzon. We always talk about trading or passing the bat and sharing information. And the Wildcats seeing the ball better. Out of the hand of Berzon.
Robinson put up some really good numbers just in her freshman season. Last year, too, really impressed me with her swing and the way that she adjusts within her at-bats, especially the extension that she has on the outside part of the plate. Ended up batting over 280 with 9 home runs last season.
Robinson, a sharply hit ball. It's going to score 1. And Nader is racing to come in. And just like that, one swing, big in, Northwestern back on top.
You can see even with her practice swings, the extension that she'll get on outside pitches. She gets a pitch on the outside part of the plate and drives it right down that left field line. Another hard hit ball just out of the reach of Danica Coffey's glove at third base. Heads up base running by Kelsey Nader too to score on that ball that went all the way down the left field line, and she dives, doesn't even make it up before she starts cheering. She's the vocal leader for this team, a big personality. And another clutch hit with runners in scoring position for Northwestern.
Experience and confidence that you talked about growing for the sophomore coming into play. The excellent approach that she's taken at the plate pays off. Adds to that RBI total, now 7. As
Now batting the left fielder,
Sydney Berzon surrendered the lead. Northwestern has been money with runners in scoring position way out. And missing that one is Zidak. Strike 1. Runs galore. We talked about it in the open. The theme, 90+ runs put up to open it up. And Angela Zidak is trying to open up that swing to get into it a little bit more. I mean, if you love offense, this is lots of fun. I know you're a defensive.
I do like defense. I love offense. I can tell you one thing: the pitchers are not happy about all these runs that are being scored off of them so far to start off this tournament.
Berzon readies the pitch to Zidak. Gets it off the end of the plate and is ate up by that ball at shortstop. And Angela Zidak is going to be aboard with that error.
Pleasance decides to sit back on that ground ball and kind of wait for the hop to come to her, and I think that's what did her a disservice on this ball. Look at the last minute.
Just a second error on Pleasance, only 4 in total for LSU this season. A chance of Hannah Katie starting as she swings that one and hits it foul.
And mistakes are going to happen, right? You can't expect to go through an entire season without making a single error. It's all about how you bounce back and try to get your team out of the inning as quickly as possible, limit the damage. And it does just make it so tough on these pitchers. We already talked about the runs that are being scored all over the place. They're playing top opponents back to back to back. It's a heavy load of games in a short amount of time, and so the more batters and the more pitches that they have to throw, the more difficult it's going to be for them in the circle.
Hannah Katie already with 4 RBI. Can she add 2 more? And yes, she does. The runners had to hold up just to see if that one would be caught. The play at the plate, not in time. And add to that production for Hannah Katie. 5 RBI now today.
A great swing on this drop ball on the outside part of the plate. It's the extension that we continue to talk about from a lot of these lefty batters for Northwestern. Hits it over the head of Sierra Briggs in center field. Because it stays right on that fence line, it gives Kansas Robinson enough time to come all the way around and score. Angela Zidak was right on her heels the entire time she was running around the bases. But a clutch hit again for Northwestern.
Murray now stands in, and while there have been hits throughout the lineup as she's well out in front of that one, it's been the top to middle half of the order had great production for the Wildcats today.
And that top to middle half, too, is the part of the lineup that maybe we saw at the bottom of the order last season, but a bigger role after graduating several seniors last year, moved more to the top part of that order and continuing to be productive.
Some activity in the LSU bullpen.
Raymond Chafin getting loose down that left field line.
Fouled off by Emma Ray. Stays 1-2. Last inning, she tied it up. Came through in one of those pressure-packed situations as a true freshman on this team.
Bergeron continuing to work back there, doing whatever she can to just keep these pitches in front of her. Not easy having to handle the variety of arms that LSU has on their pitching staff.
Watches that one on the dirt, full count. Good patience here from the freshman. And the walk to load the bases. And you see the excitement there from Ray as she trots to first.
They just keep chipping away and stringing together quality at-bats, one after another. When Berzon came into this game, very quick at-bats, 1, 2, 3 pitches tops, and now they're forcing her to get deeper into these counts.
Ayana Lindsay, who is searching for her first hit today, just 1 RBI on the season. The junior would love to come through big for her team here. Instead, Berzon putting it ever so close, a ball and a strike now to Lindsay. Through 5 games, 14 runners in scoring position. Wildcats have come up with hits today alone, 7 hits. They've run up the total to now 10 runs. The 1-2. And Lindsay to Pleasance. Tags second base and tried to make the double play. It gets away from Gutierrez.
An errant throw by Pleasance after getting that out at second base. You can see her communicating to the dugout. Let's take another look at it here. Hard hit off of the bat of Lindsay. Really nice play by Taylor, knowing that her second baseman wasn't going to get there in time. So she takes it herself, tries to turn it. And I think she was arguing the runner making contact with her is what caused that throw to be offline.
And Beth Torina is chatting with the third base umpire, Ron White, in regards to that. Let's look at it one more time.
Now she slid into second base. So she slides in, pops up here. And in the pop-up slide, she does make contact with her. Now I believe that runner at first base was going to be safe no matter what.
What are we going to make up this time?
Coming together to have another conversation with the umpires here, giving an explanation to Coach Torina.
Now batting the right fielder.
So the scoring for that, just in case, the 6 unassisted from Pleasance over at short. And then the error by her on the throw. And it's 12-8, and we talked coming in while the numbers showed LSU with only a few errors. It's coming back and playing a factor here today.
And there were some plays last weekend that didn't go down as errors in the scorebook, but when I was watching, I thought those were plays that needed to be made. You might be able to get away with them when you're up on a team 8-0, 9-0, but when you get into these tight ball games, these games where the teams are throwing punches back and forth, it's those types of mistakes that you see a team like Northwestern capitalize on.
The 0-2 to Kunian, who's got it, Coffey does. In foul territory to end the inning, but 5 put up in the top of the 6th inning. You think of old and new, the freshman class who many are comparing to that of that 2019 class that saw Danielle Williams, Jordan Rudd and company, along with Skylar Shellmeyer, be ever so magical. And they're wanting to get to the Women's College World Series like that class did. The last time they did so was in 2022.
So many names that graduated from Northwestern's team last year that were just synonymous with the program, that felt like they had been there for a decade.
off the bat, and the base hit from Sierra Briggs. Excuse me, that's an error. And Briggs is aboard.
The shortstop, Taylor Pleasant.
Another one of those defensive miscues, but that's what LSU is going to do to an opponent too, because they have so many lefties that can bunt and slap and hit away. They're going to try to cause chaos on the ground, and we saw another example of that.
Taylor Pleasant's back at the plate. Talked about the speed of Briggs, and this is a LSU group that can score runs in a hurry and in bunches. But with a new arm in the circle, Renee Cunningham, what are they going to see?
You're already seeing examples of that good movement, really down movement, heavy drop to both sides of the plate. She's got an off-speed pitch too. We've seen off-speeds be effective for both teams so far in this ball game.
And the 4-pitch walk to Pleasant.
Just seems like free passes and errors have been running rampant, along with the runs in this ball game.
Oh, we talked about one of those great former Wildcats, and Maeve Nelson is right there.
A couple of great former Wildcats in that shot. Maeve Nelson, you and I got to be a part of the phenomenal walk-off home run that she hit to beat UCLA on this field a couple of years ago, sitting there talking with Tammy Williams, who was just a magician at shortstop.
Gutierrez hits it over to second base. Pleasance runs right in front of the second baseman, Robinson. He couldn't come up with it, and now bases loaded for LSU.
Just another one of those. Your team's going to be able to make the play, so continue to pound the bottom part of that strike zone.
And with the way LSU has started out the season, swinging the bat, 26 RBI in bases loaded situations from that left side. And wow! Allie Newland, perfect time for her to come up with her first home run of the season. And we told you they could score bunches. Or you could just do it like that. 3 passes led to the Allie Newland grand slam, and we're tied at 12 apiece.
And Newland wanted to make sure that the freshman was not going to feel comfortable at all within this at-bat. She goes after the very first pitch that she sees. It's a drop ball that's left up in the zone. A really sweet swing coming from the left side. Great extension, uses her lower half, and blasts that ball out of the park. Grand slam, ties up the ball game with just one swing of the bat.
Third grand slam of her career. And Allie Newland picks a perfect time for her first long ball of the season. This LSU team is fun to watch.
Just with the versatility that they have throughout their lineup too. We talked about how difficult it is for defenders to try to position themselves.
And Rudity sharply hit, and the center fielder Lindsay can come up with it. And fired up and ready to go as Rudity at second base is pumped.
You can hear it off the bat too, the way that these LSU batters are squaring up these pitches from the freshman in the circle. Another drop ball, this one up and away. Some good late movement on it, but just a better swing put on this pitch. Drives it back up the middle. Some of the hardest balls to read in the outfield are those hard hit
Types of experiences that a freshman like Renee Cunningham has to have to understand, to build upon, and continue on in her process and career at Northwestern and beyond.
And you know, these players for Northwestern too soaked up all of that knowledge from the veterans that they had graduate last season. Of course, it's a lengthy list of people that they graduated from. Danielle Williams to Sydney Supley in the pitcher circle, and you've got a bunch of hitters, whether it's Jordan Rudd or Nikki Cochran, names that we're just so familiar hearing with Northwestern, but you know they passed on that knowledge to these younger players.
Swing into right field and the first out of the inning. And then too, obviously, we saw Maeve Nelson, Tammy Williams in the stands for Northwestern, number of alumni who came back and came here to Clearwater support. There's Supley in the stands as well, Sydney Supley. So just the connection, there is a big draw for Northwestern football, softball. They've had so much success under Coach Drohan. Sharply hit the third base by Bergeron, and the throw made in time, and 2 away.
Really nice play made by Hannah Katie over at third base. Not an easy ground ball to field. Extremely hard hit off of the bat, a one-hop shot to her. She actually goes down to her knees to make sure she keeps that ball in front of her. Checks over at second base and fires across the diamond, and that energy and passion that we've just continued to see from Northwestern coming through.
Carly Petty, first pitch swinging, flies out to Lindsay in center and ends the inning. But a huge turn of events here for LSU because of this.
Allie Newland swinging the big bat, coming from the left side, bases loaded. Very first pitch she sees, she says, "See you later, ball. I'm tying up this ball game with just one swing." Good ball game over there between UCLA and Florida State. Just as UCLA had gone ahead, Florida State comes back and ties it right back up.
Fun, fun, fun. It just sets the table for what we know will be another amazing season of softball, and we're gonna march you all the way up to the Women's College World Series, and certainly we've got you covered all weekend long here from Clearwater. Perennial powers going at it as Amaya Ross now standing in for Florida State. How much did you look forward to weekends like this, understanding that this is your chance to restart, rebuild, retool, or try to repeat if you're somebody like Oklahoma? I mean, there is so much excitement, and I think you're happy to face somebody else other than teammates.
January is by far the longest month out of the year for any softball player collegiately, because you're just scrimmaging your own teammates, and you know that they know you front and back. They know exactly how to pitch to you. It can be frustrating as a hitter to go up against your own pitchers all over the place. So you're just so excited to face somebody that is wearing a different uniform. And also to be able to put into these situations where it does feel like the postseason early in February. You've got all those excitement, feelings, energy, passion, all the hard work that you got to put in the off season. And of course in January, you get to see it pay off once February rolls around.
Florida State, the ACC champs. Told you made it all the way to the champ series against Oklahoma. Looking around the ACC, you've got Virginia Tech and Clemson with the National Player of the Year back again, Valerie Cagle.
Excited to see what Emma Lemley's going to do for Virginia Tech this year in the pitcher circle. Duke's another really strong team. And a lot of great pitching. Cassidy Curd had a phenomenal freshman year for them last year. These conferences just are stacked left and right. So many good teams that you look forward to being able to watch throughout the season. Like we talked about last year, you have the graduation of some great seniors, but it opens up the opportunity for other people on those teams to step up and to become those new big names in the game of softball.
Donahue fouls that one off. And I think, too, I mean, you think about Wisconsin. We saw them yesterday and put up a great fight against Georgia. Yvette Healy really excited about her group. Nebraska. Northwestern Minnesota, who is also in town this weekend. And we go to the other side, the SEC, which is just stacked. I mean, 11 of the top 25 teams coming out of the Southeastern Conference. LSU among them. Donahue out to left, 2 down.
Hit that one right on the money. Just happened to go straight to Allie Newland out in left field. Always fun to see the out celebrations too from the players as we go through the season. Almost looked like she was getting down into a catcher's position for one of those.
Leadoff hitter in Kelsey Nader, who's been a nice spark plug, trying to lay down the bunt right in front of Berzon, and a 1-2-3 inning for LSU, something that's much needed. And now we'll see the Tigers top of the order coming up when we return. No doubt, and it continues. Good times keep on rolling from the Eddie Seymour complex. Does it apiece for Northwestern and LSU. Top of the order for the Tigers, and a chance for the group out of Baton Rouge to walk it off. Danica Coffey, the third baseman, stands in. Walk at an RBI sac fly earlier in this one. Putting their perfect 6-0 record on the line. Remember, they had 5 complete game shutouts in that opening weekend. Coming into today at that 12-8 victory over Georgia Tech. And now, Beth Torina's group in position to walk off with another win. Can her lineup make it happen? If you just look at the way the top of the lineup has hit the ball thus far, not much production, 1 for 8. They've scored a couple of runs. 3 passes have been the key, and this one drops the opposite field, base hit down the left field line, and a stand-up double. That's the production that they wanted to see for the top of the order as Danica Coffey comes up with her first hit.
To your point, Tiffany, just the first hit of the day for Danica Coffey, but she's had some great at-bats throughout the ball game, and this one's another one. She goes to the slap and drives it right down that left field line, and because it's spinning out towards left field, she's able to easily move herself into scoring position.
Stanford is looking on and waiting to take the field as they will take on the number 2 team in the country, the Tennessee Lady Vols, coming up next on this field over on ESPN2. At the conclusion of this one, they'll prepare the field and get ready. And the question is, who is Jessica Allister going to throw in the circle today for the Cardinal?
It's exactly what I was about to ask you, too. We've been talking about it all day long. What would we do? Who would we throw? And it is extremely difficult, an extremely difficult decision to make when you look at just the gauntlet of a schedule that they have to go through, right? It's not just one game. You're not just worried about Tennessee, but they go on to play Texas later on this evening. So you got to think about that second game today, too.
And the sacrifice bunt laid down beautifully by Sierra Briggs, and the winning run standing 60 feet from home.
Beautiful job of laying down a fundamental sacrifice bunt. That's one thing that the top of this order does extremely well for LSU, both Danica Coffey and Sierra Briggs. They can lay down a bunt whenever you need it.
And Taylor Pleasance, who has been the best run producer on this team and one of the best in the country, finds herself in a very favorable situation. Chance to end this one.
Coach Gascoigne coming out to have a conversation with her battery. A lot of strategy on how you want to attack Taylor Pleasance up at the plate. Try to utilize what your strengths are as a pitcher, but also take into account where Taylor likes to hit the ball. She does a really nice job on pitches up and outside to her. Seems to be the hot spot for a lot of lefty batters.
Yeah. Remember their last walk-off win back in the month of February. You go back to when they faced off against Utah, and Pleasance was the hero. Can she do it again? If you poll some of the LSU players about what that moment felt like, Sierra Briggs, who's her teammate, says, look, that was my favorite moment while at LSU. I mean, that was pretty cool because it was right here in Clearwater, and her roommate was the hero then. Let's see if she could be the heroine once more. And the stat does still hold true. More RBI than at-bats this season for Taylor Pleasance.
We can thank Amanda Scarborough and Mark Neely for help telling us that that's a stat that we need to keep track of.
Yes. It's teamwork, okay? And they are going to intentionally walk Pleasance in this situation, understanding her prowess.
Looked like they were going to try to see what happened in the first couple of pitches, and then after Ashley Miller fell behind, just go ahead and put Taylor Pleasance on. But it's not like it gets any easier, because now you've got to deal with Raylene Gutierrez, whose bat has just been on fire to start off this season. We even saw yesterday Wisconsin walk 2 batters in a row to load the bases. So then I look ahead and look at who's on deck. Well, it's just Allie Newland who's hit a grand slam in today's ballgame.
Running for LSU at first base. Number 3,
Maya Townsend comes in as the pinch runner over at first base.
And
that's what we've constantly said throughout the broadcast. I mean, the fact that there is just not much let up in this LSU lineup. Gutierrez's bat has been on fire. And now runners at the corner, 1 out.
Miller really trying to work that outside part of the zone to these lefty batters. Just not able to locate that strike consistently. Fell behind to Taylor Pleasance, already behind to Gutierrez.
Fouled off by Gutierrez.
Gutierrez possibly looking at that to hit something on the outside part of the plate. Looked like that one would have been called a ball had she watched it go by, but instead decides to swing at it, fouls it off. Gets Miller back even in this count.
And Gutierrez sends this one into the outfield. It's going to be deep enough. The play at the plate, and that does it. The walk-off win as Raylene Gutierrez delivers the RBI sac fly.
What a battle just back and forth between these two teams. Northwestern throwing